Believe it or not, in 2021, contrary to popular belief, Black people still hate talking about and stay running away from people being gay. Even though society at large has seemingly accepted the letter people, and as a proud member of the letter community, I actually think it's pretty funny. The letter people. Fuck. But the alphabets, can we just... Today on In the Mix with Trent, I'm opening a door that most Black people don't want to walk through, and we're going to have a candid conversation with Chandi Moore, a friend of mine who also happens to be a transgendered woman.
You know what time it is. It's time for In the Mix with Trent, a conversation you didn't know you needed from your Keep It Real friend.
And Black people, stop acting like that. Y'all know the trans people is around.
What's a baby mama golden parachute?
People treated me like I contracted AIDS in the 80s.
Continue to stay inspired.
And now, the one, the only, Trent Jackson.
Hey everybody, you're in the mix with Trent. My guest today and I go back to my very first job in 1997 when I was 16 years old. When I first met her and I had to know who she was and what she was about, she took me to my first gay club and answered all the questions I couldn't ask anyone when I was figuring out myself. She taught me how to navigate gay life and went on to make waves when she joined the cast of I Am Cait 4 years ago. Joining me today for a very personal and candid conversation is my good friend, Chandi Moore. You're in the mix with Trent. Back after this. Being gay doesn't make you less of a man or woman or less Black. The perfect t-shirt to celebrate and embrace who you are equally. You're back in the mix with Trent. Thank you so much for joining me today. We have one of my really good friends who I haven't seen in forever. The last time I saw you, you were at In the Meantime Men's. It's a group in Los Angeles that kind of helps facilitate young Black gay men through life and all those sorts of things. So you were there, and when I saw the advertisement for it, I had to hop up out of the house and come and see you because it had been such a long time. Again, I met you back
decades
so
ago.
long ago. I was a teenager. No shade, but you had finger waves.
Okay. And a sidewinder bob, too.
I love it. And I was a young gay boy. I hadn't seen or met anybody that could answer any questions about who I was becoming, what being gay was about, or any of those things. And at the time, all I saw was finger wave, and I was like, oh, there's my people right there. What is your name? And I was probably the most annoying kid, of all time. All up in your face, messy as hell, a hot mess.
I loved it, though.
Chandi Moore, extraordinary. You've done so many great things, and I want to talk to you about just the whole experience. Tell us who you are, your upbringing in LA, and you have a very interesting story because you've transitioned from man to woman. So you have the unique experience of being a gay man and now a woman that is attracted to men. So you have a very, very interesting story. Tell me about your upbringing in LA back in, in a time where gay was not even something that we talked about, let alone being a trans person.
Well, being gay back then was something that you did not really do in the daytime, basically. I went to Fremont High School, and there was a bunch of us that were gay there, but we didn't, we knew who we were, but we didn't, it wasn't like now where they can just do whatever they want to do. And wave the flag or whatever. It wasn't like that. We had to keep it all together because they would follow you home and beat you down. So I'm glad to see the times have changed.
Wow.
And we've been able to move on from that. But yeah, I grew up in the hood. Over there in South LA, and it was a good experience for me. Me and my brother, we both we went to private school up until the 9th grade. So in the 10th grade, we got to go to public school. So we didn't know what that was like. We were excited to get to wear what we wanted to wear to school every day. But yeah, it was good.
What moment did you know that you were gay? And then what moment did you know that you wanted to be a woman?
I always knew that I was gay. I always knew that I had an attraction for the boys. And that was all through my childhood. Transitioning was something that I never would have expected for myself. Really. I didn't think so.
Why is that?
I don't know. I was comfortable for a while being that way, but I was too much for the gay boys, and then I was too femme to be trying to do anything else. So it was like, what are you going to do? There was no balance for me. I would be standing there with my best friend at the time, and people would just come up to him and try to talk to him while I'm standing there. They don't know if we're together or not, but they're going to talk to him anyway. And I used to crack up about it, but it kind of made me feel like, what are you doing? Because you just like waving in the middle, you know? And you're a little bit too much for the boys to really get into you. So when they got me to do drag for the first time, I was in love. Chandi was who I needed to be. That was who I was.
When did you do drag for the first time?
In the late 90s, I want to say. Late 90s. I did my first drag show at a club called, it was in Culver City. I can't even think of the name of it, but it was in Culver City. And that's where I did my first drag show. My first song was Anita Baker.
Which song?
Giving You the Best That I Got.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That was my first number. And I got an overwhelming response. And so that led me to do it more. And the more I did it, the more I wanted to do it. I didn't want to get up out of it, really. But how was I going to live? That was the thing. You know, how are you going to live? You see yourself being this way, but how are you going to live? Get a job. What you going to do with yourself? So that's where the discovery came in.
So let's just back up a little bit. How did your parents react? Because you grew up mother and father. How did your parents react to you being gay and then transitioning?
Well, being gay, I want to say my mom always knew everything.
How is your mom doing?
Oh, she's same bad time, same bad channel. Ain't nothing changed with Miss Tina Moore. But I think they always knew that. But my dad, I'm not gonna cry because my dad he's passed
away. Yeah,
about 4 years now. He told me one time when I was over, I came by there to pick up some money. And he said, why do I always come by there when nobody's home? And I said, well, because I'm going through some changes and I don't really know what it is and I can't explain it, but I'd rather not come around you guys right now and I feel like it's being respectful to y'all. And he told me, he said, well, if you're ashamed of what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it. And I said, huh? He said, if you're ashamed of what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it. And that was my kickoff point right there. That jump started me into my life, really, because I felt like that was his way of giving me permission to be who I wanted to be.
Wow. Mm-hmm. How powerful was that for you to have your father affirm you during all that? Because there's so many people who we know their experiences are so adverse with their fathers and, you know, mothers too. But to have your father affirm you, what was that moment like?
It gave me the confidence, Trent, that I needed to be able to place myself in positions that I don't even think I was ready for. But I handled it in the moment because I had that confidence. And when you have that kind of support, it allows you to have that confidence and be able to be a shining star. You know, I tell my young people that I deal with every day, you know, you might not have that at your home. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean you can't still be somebody.
What do you say? Because even though there's been so much acceptance, quote unquote, around gay, it's not. We know that it's still hard being black and gay, and I'm pretty sure that you still have your, you know, moments as a trans woman of color where it's difficulty still to this day. What do you say to the kid that is even gay in a family that is not accepting, who still believes that Jesus is Lord and reigns supreme, and you're not going to bring that into the house and all those things? What do you say to that? Because it's still black people today that are going through that in spite of so many progressions that we have made.
Well, I want you to know that it's 3 strikes when you're trans, because you're black.
Yes.
You're associated with being gay, and now you think that you're a woman. So that's 3 strikes that we have to deal with already coming out the gate. I tell those young people that they have to do what they have to do to get where they need to be. And in spite of the odds, no matter who isn't supporting you, you have to find some type of a support network.
Yeah.
And that may be your gay family or whoever, or auntie or somebody. Somebody is going to support you. Everybody isn't going to turn their back on you. And then when you run into people like us and work in agencies and do the work that I do, we support you. We cheerlead you on. We go to your graduations. We go to anything that's going to uplift your spirit. We're there. We can be that family for you. But ultimately, you have to do it for yourself. Same thing I used to tell you. You got to do it for yourself. I almost said something else, but
say it.
Because that was a bad word. But you have to just do it. And if that's your mission in life, go for it. Don't let nobody hold you back.
Yeah.
You know?
Hold that thought. You're in the mix with Trent. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Back in a second.
What's up, everybody? This is Cy Smith, and we are in the mix with Trent.
You're back in the mix with Trent. Thank you so much for joining us today. So we're in the studio with Chandi Moore. She's a black trans woman talking about her experience in life and so many other things. For people who don't know, define what transsexual is, what it means. Because people just don't know. They hear that word and it's like, oh, well, what's that about?
Well, transsexual is actually...
is that the proper term?
No, it's transgender.
Transgender,
now.
Okay.
Transgender now.
So, educate me, because there's this whole... My friends have a running joke that I'm transphobic, and I tell them that that's not even fucking true. But we come...
It's not.
We come...
It's not.
We came up at a time where... Excuse me for saying this. ACLU, please don't be all up in my ass crack with this when I say this word. Everybody said tranny back in the day. Why can't we say that word anymore?
You can't say that word anymore because people have taken it taken offense with it because it ties the trans community to sex work when you say tranny. And all of us that are trannies, because I can say it because I come from that era, all of us aren't doing sex work.
Yeah.
And I take nothing from my sisters who are doing sex work because that's their job.
Yeah.
They make their money. I make mine, they make theirs. But people became offended by that all of a sudden. But the thing is that they need to understand is that they can't take those experiences away from us when we used to be in those dressing rooms, doing those shows, calling each other trannies and kikiing and doing the things that we did. That was our life back then. Now, sure, we should upgrade and educate ourselves and try to use the new terminology that they tend to come up with every day.
So how does one keep up? Because there's so many different. We don't know.
You can't.
So what are the proper terms so people in everyday life can use them? Because
the proper terms are transgender, gender nonconforming, non-binary.
Okay.
Those are the major terms to describe our community right now.
Do you feel there's a gay agenda? You know, society is like, oh, there's always these gay people. You know, there's always the emasculation of black men. There's always the promotion of this. And do you feel like there's like a gay agenda, like, or some type of, you know, gay, you know, force trying to take over the world?
Well, let them tell it. That's what the trans community is doing. We're looking for all this special treatment, and we're trying to force our way of life on people, and that they're being forced to have us in spaces that we don't belong, which is not true, because we're not looking for that. We just want to be treated equally and fairly and be able to get a job and be on that job and not have to be ridiculed on that job just because we may not be what you define as beautiful yet. I don't think that there's so much of a gay agenda, but I think that there is a lack of community when it comes to our full LGBTQI community.
Yes.
I think we still need some work in that area where we can connect and be able to do things as a unit and show how much power there is in numbers instead of us having to separate ourselves from so many things and have the trans pride over here, and then the gay pride is over here. And it's sad that we have to do that, but we as trans people had to stand up for ourselves and do our own thing because we weren't being included over there. Still today.
You were a cast member on I Am Cait. Do you feel like Cait helped push awareness of trans people?
I do.
You were very vocal about checking the fuck out of everybody on the show and was very serious about it.
Boom.
And
not playing.
Told a very, very real experience. How do you think all of that has advanced the movement? Your contribution, Cait, and all, because you were a breakout star of that show. So many people had good things to say. I think because you were so honest and so real, and because people never really heard the story of a black trans woman and what the experience is and what it was like.
Well, I was glad to be able to be a part of the show.
How did you get a part of it?
I still don't know. I was sitting at my desk at work one day, and I got a phone call, and they said that I needed to sign a disclosure statement because what they wanted to talk to me was about Caitlyn Jenner, and I was like, oh, okay, well, let's get it signed and figure out what all of this is about. So after I did that, I had like a 2-hour interview with one of the producers from the show, and then I got invited to the mixer, and then after the mixer, we went on the road, and it just took off from there. What I feel like Cait did, Cait got the word transgender in homes that would have probably never, ever mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she did. She was not out there trying to be the face for our community and all these things that was thrown up on her. She wasn't trying to do anything but help shed light on the issues of our community. Sure, she didn't know everything in the beginning, but who does? Everybody has to make stumbles in their lives to get to where they got to go. But not her. They didn't want to give that to her. She was supposed to be perfect and be able to do everything all overnight, and it never falls that way for any of us. It doesn't happen overnight, but it happens. And so I just feel like she didn't get, the chance to make her mistakes but that's a part of her life. She's in the public eye like that, and there's things that come along with that. So you have to take the good with the bad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but she's doing great. I was just at her house a few weeks ago, and because believe it or not, we are still the best of friends. We all still communicate, all the girls. We hang out and do our thing.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. You're a representative of everyday trans women. We kind of talked about this before with Black families. Before we close off this segment, what do you say to Black families who are experiencing a trans person or even a gay person and don't even know how to deal with or understand that process?
Well, for one, it's easier for families to accept, especially in the African American community, it's easier for them to accept a child that's gay. A child that's trans, that's a whole nother ball game. That's a whole nother thought process that they are starting to get a grip on. It's good to see more African American families at the clinic bringing their children for their appointments and their hormone therapies and stuff. And I just feel like people need to listen to their kids, and when they see that their child is different, do your homework. Look into it. See what it's all about. Weigh your pros and cons. Don't just throw your kids out in the street because you don't understand. Because you put them out there, they're out there in the streets, that's when they're put at risk for HIV, they're doing drugs, they're doing all these things because they're trying to keep themselves afloat. What you will find is that when you support your child and be that parent and show them that love, they blossom and they turn out to be whatever it is that they wanted to be in life. So it's happening a little bit more now. Even dads are bringing their kids to their trans kids to the hospital. So that's something that I didn't think I would ever be able to see. But I've been seeing it.
Wow. We'll talk about more of your work at the Children's Hospital when we come back. You're in the mix with Trent. Thank you so much for joining. Back in a second.
Here's a preview of the next episode. I have a lot to get off my chest. But it's a secret that has held me hostage. I have had to live with for the last 25 years. It will make my family upset. But these are the things that happen when you speak your truth.
3 people killed in a brutal shooting in Carson. The victims were all found on a lawn.
What did your mother do, my grandmother, to the both of y'all, to where she wasn't worthy enough to be protected from a threat?
You're back in the mix with Trent. We have Chandi Moore with us. So you are currently working at Children's Hospital of LA. Tell me about your work there.
Well, right now, we're on a contract where I work at the Trans Wellness Center because we have a Trans Wellness Center opened, I think it's been like a little over a year now, which is a place that is inclusive of just trans people and non-binary always, and gender non-conforming young people. So we're there. I'm there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then we're in Long Beach with Being a Star on Mondays and Fridays because we are a part of something with them. So we're trying to, pre-COVID, this is what we were doing. And then in our office like once a week now. So it's totally changed a lot for the work that we do. I'm a health educator. I do HIV testing and counseling. I facilitate groups for young people under the age of 25 around their sexual health and life skills.
How's that like been to work with so many young people and
oh my goodness,
instill all of your experiences in them?
It is so amazing for me to see them when they blossom and they go out into the world and they live their lives and are able to stand up for themselves and be happy about their transness and be willing to educate people. It just makes me so proud. I feel like a proud mama standing on the side, want to clap for my babies because that's what we do the work for. That's what we're here for, to keep them inspired. And they don't know how much they inspire us in the process, just being themselves and doing what they do. So it makes me happy to see them come back and want to give back after they've gone through the process and are just willing to share their experience now.
Yeah, earlier you touched on something. You mentioned that when you were younger, your friend would, get hit on, and you didn't, and then you started the transition, and it became easier. Do you feel, or did you ever feel like you were sexually objectified by men who did not want to be honest or responsible about their own sexuality, and they kind of used you in a way to like deal with, or maybe even learn more about themselves in the process?
I think we still go through that as trans people today. I feel like that because
do you think that men who don't particularly identify as gay but are interested in having sex with a man, that do you think that people question it's easier to them to be with a trans woman than a man?
Well, for me, they see them being with men as gay, but being with a trans woman, he's attracted to the femininity, and the femininity is what we're working on possessing and trying to become. Not necessarily trying to become a woman, but possessing that femininity that attracts someone. But society doesn't allow men to see us in that way. They try to put them in a box and make them be gay because they want to say, well, basically that's what we are. But no, we're not. No, we're not. We're going through changes to make ourselves be whoever we are. Because I can't speak for them. I can only speak for myself. And I know who I am. And I'm not trying to be anybody but myself. I don't want to necessarily be a woman or be a man or be anything. I just want to be Chandi and be accepted for that. However, my presentation, you perceive, that's how you perceive it. Don't make me out to be a villain because you didn't know my tea and I didn't have to tell you my tea because I don't know you like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So don't make us out to be villains like that because we're just out here trying to live too. So yeah.
Wow. What advice in closing do you have to a man who maybe dealing with his sexuality but doesn't necessarily want to be with a man and has this curiosity? What do you say to that?
I say curiosity killed the cat and satisfaction brought him back. Boom.
And there you have it. Closing advice, specifically for the Black community in all of their our homophobia, whatever it is. What advice do you have to somebody who is struggling with trying to figure it out with all the societal pressures? Because you have seen both sides of it and grew up at a time where, came up at a time where it wasn't even a conversation. Again, you said you had to be gay at night. That's something, by the time I came up, it wasn't something that we talked about, but I could definitely be gay in the daytime, you know? So...
what I would say to them is, God is love and love is for everyone. God doesn't make mistakes. He knew who you were before you did, so please allow that to process because he already knew. So don't let people, Bible thumpers, tell you that he doesn't love you. Establish your own connection with whatever higher power that is that you believe in, and take it from there. Don't let other people influence you negatively. You have to focus on the positives. That's the only way to get ahead in life, is to do that. And so that's what I would leave with them. And black people, stop acting like that. Y'all know the trans people is around. Y'all know we here. And we ain't going nowhere. So either exist in the world with us or don't bother us, because we're not bothering y'all.
That's simple.
Just that simple.
That simple.
We don't bother y'all. Y'all got to go out of y'all way to tell us who we are every day. And I don't need you to tell me who I am. I knew who I was when I walked out my house. And I still look better than you.
Ha!
Okay.
Holla. You've
Boom.
been in the mix with Trent. Thank you, Chandi. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Continue
Congratulations,
the
Trent.
Thank you.
On this.
Thank you.
Yes. And I'm glad you had me on.
Of course.
I got you next time because I got some tea.
Well, it's not even going to be next time. You're going to stick around for the after show, and when we do that, you can give up all the tea that you want to.
Very beautiful. I'm going to dig up in the vault. I'm telling you.
She has stories on me since from 97. She ain't the only one. You've been in the mix with Trent. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining me on In the Mix with Trent. Here's a preview of the next episode. Where's Waldo? Now he's here. Family Matters was a show that was not only an integral part of my childhood, but it's a show that's etched in my mind for some reason. I think for me, it mimicked my own family, and in a lot of ways, our families. I don't think Sean really knows how major and memorable he was on that show, and how people really love him. Also, in this segment, we get to learn more about Sean's new venture. Here it is.
You have a T-shirt with Waldo on it. Let's talk
Yes, I
about
do.
This brand new T-shirt.
Yes.
How did this come about?
Well, I would say like maybe a year and a half, if not 2 years ago, I had been thinking that I wanted to do a T-shirt, a Waldo T-shirt. So I sent out some text messages to a couple of friends, and I said, hey, which one of the catchphrases do you think I should start with? And we all came to a meeting of the minds, or a consensus rather. And once I got that, I then did the business of trying to find the right expression of something from the show that I think crystallizes what this particular catchphrase is. As you guys can see, it says sup.
Where's cool?
And that's what people are asking, But cool will be on the way.